Make sure to subscribe to Aisa. Or else.
Peace, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry in advance if the lighting in this video is trash. The lighting in this house is trash. This apartment has terrible lighting, so I'm sorry if the lighting in this apartment is trash. But the message and the content of this video is more important than the lighting of this video. So I hope that you can bear with it. And I hope that you can just hear me, and that's all that matters. So, I'm back. Now I know that nobody, and I mean nobody, has missed the content of my Black Sitcom Mukbang series. And that's okay. I do these more so for myself than anybody else, but if you guys take any type of entertainment in them, then that's good on you. And I hope you watch them anyways. So, today I have some leftover pasta from dinner last night, and I have my just water bottle that I refilled with my Brita water filter in my refrigerator. So, what video are we doing today? Well, we are doing a video on the 1990s sitcom with younger brother to Tia and Tamara Mowry, Smart Guy.
Keeping it real. Your favorite little study buddy, he knows the deal. Daddy's still just a kid. On the ball, very clever. You could say that he's bright, brainy, gifted, whatever.
Your brother is smart.
He's a smart guy. Smart guy. Smart guy. He's a smart guy.
So today we're going to talk about the ins and outs of Smart Guy, kind of go into the characters, the storylines, the whole premise of the show, and why I am an avid fan of this show and have probably watched it more times than I've watched any other show in the history of ever. I am pretty much obsessed with this show. I will just lay it out here and now, and anybody who follows me on Instagram knows this already, so it's no surprise, but I have a massive crush on Taj Mowry, and Smart Guy is the reason why. And I'll explain why I love him later. But yeah, let's get into Smart Guy. So Smart Guy is a 90s sitcom. It came out in the late 90s, and a lot of people might not know this who are millennials or Gen Z. More like, you know, the earlier part of Gen Z who were born in like 96 to like 2000. They might understand it in a different context. So I know that Smart Guy aired on the Disney Channel in the 2000s. And Taj and his sisters were really big on the channel back then. And so you might have it in your mind that Smart Guy actually was a Disney Channel show, but it was not. It was actually a WB show. So let's take us back to the 90s, a land that I come from as a 31-year-old. So in 1997, a network was created. It might have been created earlier than 97, probably around 96, 95. A channel was created called the WB, and yes, it stands for Warner Brothers. It was the Warner Brothers channel, and you all might know it today as the CW, but when I was growing up, it was the WB. And the WB was a channel that had all your classic 90s black sitcoms. And it also had, when the turn of the century would happen in 2000 and the very, very late 90s, like 99, 98, it would start to have some of the, you know, whiter shows like Dawson's Creek and other shows like it. And so, but within the creation of the WB, it had a lot of our favorite black 90s sitcoms like Sister Sister when it went off the air from ABC, and Smart Guy, and the Jamie Foxx Show, and the Wayans Brothers, and a lot of shows like that. And so basically how this all got started was that Taj Mowry, as we know, is a little cutie, and he has been on our TV screens since forever. If you're a millennial, you remember him in everything. He guest starred in everything. He was in everything. He was just that little cute kid who was being cute and little and adorable. He was in Mariah Carey music videos. He was in an episode of Friends. He was everywhere. So, in the very early 90s, when Full House was on its great achievement to success, it ended up having Michelle have friends, right? We all know Michelle, Mary-Kate Ashley's character. And, you know, she had those group of friends that would be on the show. She had 2 black friends. She had, of course, Teddy, played by Taj Mowry. And, of course, she had Denise. And so she had these great black friends. They were biracial, but they were black on the show, but they were biracial in real life. And they were great. We loved them. And of course, we remember the most infamous episode of Full House that made you cry, like literally tears coming down your face, like so sad, was the episode where Teddy moves to Texas from San Francisco with his parents, and Michelle is just so heartbroken.
Well, goodbye.
And it's just the sweetest, most sad scene ever. Like, you watch that scene today, you're gonna cry because Teddy's super cute and Michelle's super cute, and it's just, and she's just heartbroken because her best friend is leaving. And like, as a kid, as an adult, as anybody, when your best friend doesn't live near you, like when your best friend moves away and they don't live near you, it is hard because you don't see them every day. And so it becomes a really hard thing to like grasp, and you know, really, it's just really hard. Like, they move, especially when you're a kid and they move away and then you don't think you're gonna ever see them again, and you're just really sad, especially in the 90s. Today, you know, it's a little easier because of social media and because of the internet, and cell phones. But back in the 90s, when a friend would move away, it was hard because you actually did not know if you would see them again. Because you might not have their information and they just move away and then they're gone forever and you don't see them again. And when you're that little, you form bonds with friends that are just lifetime, it feels like. So when they move away, it's like really hard on you. But anyways, moving on. So he did a great, phenomenal acting job in Full House. And, you know, Taj was actually the first Maury to become big in the industry. And so with that stardom, he actually helped Tia and Tamara get Sister Sister as a show. And of course, Taj would do what most little brothers would do. He would guest star in the show. So he would be a guest star 3 times on Sister Sister, 2 times as a different character, like once as a cousin of, I think it was Tamara or Tia, I can't remember. I think it was maybe Tia, a cousin of Tia. And then he would also be a different character, and then he was his infamous character that he would be remembered for forever, TJ Henderson on Smart Guy. And so while Sister Sister was going along, chugging along, doing really great, they were, I guess, in talks of giving Taj his own show. And so basically, in 1997, Smart Guy premiered on the WB, and it ran for 3 seasons until 1999, and then it was canceled. And unfortunately, we don't get an ending to Smart Guy, like an actual true ending. But I mean, for the ending that we got, it actually wasn't terrible. It kind of had, in essence, a Full House kind of ending. You know how in Full House they don't really have like an ending. It just kind of like abruptly ends, and you just like don't really have like a conclusion episode. But same with Smart Guy. But in a way, it kind of worked for the show in ways. I mean, I personally think that they were just getting into their stride of the show, and I really think that they could have continued on for many, many, many more seasons. But that's a whole nother thing. We'll talk about that when we get there. So let's talk about the concept of the show. So you have Taj Mowry, who plays TJ Henderson. And TJ Henderson is a 10-year-old genius. He's a child prodigy. And he goes from the 4th grade to being in the 10th grade with his older brother, Marcus, and his best friend, Mo, and his older sister, Yvette, who's a junior, I think, at the first season. And so, yeah. So, TJ goes from 4th grade to 10th grade, and it's about all the wacky hijinks that happen when a 4th grader who's only 10 years old ends up going to high school with his older siblings. And it's a really funny, really cute, really like, but it's also really like real. And I want to say that shout out to Smart Guy for talking about some really difficult topics on the show as well. Topics like child predators on the internet, which was a big deal back in the late 90s and early 2000s because of the internet was kind of new in that way. And so a lot of kids didn't really know what they were doing on the internet, and a lot of parents didn't really understand the internet that well. So a lot of things like that in chat rooms and stuff would happen. So that was a really big one, and I'm glad they tackled that. I'm also glad they talked about underage drinking and just other topics on the show as well. I think that was like, it was really, really, good with their topic episodes. But it was also a hilarious show. Like, I literally rewatch Smart Guy sometimes just because it's so funny. Like, Marcus and Mo are two of the funniest characters on that show, literally. Like, Keenan and Kel are hilarious. Hilarious, right? From all that to Keenan and Kel, the show, like, they are hilarious. They are Good Burger, like, that whole dynamic in the late 90s, right? But Marcus and Mo might give them a run for their money because they were just as funny. Like, they were just as funny as a comedic duo. Like, so funny. Like, whenever they would do something that they, like, were, like, happy about, they would always do, and now my passage is happy dance, and they would just start dancing. It was so funny. And like, just like, of course, obviously all shows have to have like a not so smart person or a dumb character, right? And so of course Mo was that character, but in a lovable, like really cute way. And so like, whenever him and Marcus would get into the shenanigans, it was like so funny to watch Mo just be like Mo. Like, it's just really funny. And like, yeah, of course, you have Marcus, and he's just like the lady killer, like the smooth guy, and like he's all about the girls, all about his band, all about whatever. And he's just like, I really want to. But the thing about Marcus, though, I like is that he takes his band really seriously. Like, he might not be really good at school, and he might not really take life that seriously, but he knows music, and he really is passionate by that, and I like that. So I'm really jumping ahead of the game, but let's talk about the characters. So you have TJ Henderson, the child prodigy. And so he's played by Taj Mowry, and he kills that role. That role was made for him. And I realized that over time, Taj has been in these roles where he has played the smart character. And he really brings a lot of I guess he's representing for the smart people. He's representing for the smart black young kids who are into robots, who are really, really smart and have really high IQs, who are just really into school and like their homework and like vocabulary, and like they love learning, and like they're really into science and they're really into math. Like, he really was that guy for a generation, you know what I mean? And I really do think that's great because the representation was there. The representation was there. And it was done in a way that didn't feel cheesy. It was very much, it was a good representation. I just think it was great representation. And so basically, TJ goes through his life being, like I said, a 10-year-old going to high school and, having to fit in with his brother's friends and trying to like, fit in and trying to like not be like the nerdy little kid who's everywhere following his brother around, and trying to like deal with girls and trying to deal with going on dates and trying to deal with going to high school dances and like trying to like a lot of the show is about how a lot of the like high schoolers will use TJ to try to get some kind of like advantage. Like, there was an episode where TJ had to help like the star basketball player and tried to help him like pass a test. And so by helping him, he basically ended up making him into like this like this like spiritual guy. Like he ended up finding all this like spirituality and stuff, until he didn't want to like play basketball anymore. And so everyone was like looking at TJ like, what the heck did you do? Fix him and stuff like that. And it was like really cute. And just like how life is when you're 10 years old in a like teenage setting. And so he kills that role. It's really cute and I love it. And then you have, of course, Marcus Henderson, who is played by our favorite, the singing voice of Simba himself, Jason Weaver. And we love Jason Weaver in this house. Jason Weaver Hive, if you're out there, we love you. So obviously I'm a huge fan of The Lion King. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like it's my #1 favorite movie of all time, Disney or not, my favorite movie. And so I love Jason Weaver. And he kills the role of Marcus. Love it, love it, love it. Okay? He is so good playing that role. Like that role is made for him. And so because Jason Weaver already has a background in music, because Jason Weaver, you know, he does and I've already done a Forever Flowers episode on him. It's another series I do on this channel. And so if you want to go check it out, I will link it or do a little card thing up top. But yeah, so you can find all this information out. But basically the rundown is Jason Weaver, he did the miniseries, the Jackson 5 and the American Dream. And while he was doing that and killing it as young Michael, he also had Sir Elton John come to set and say, I'm doing this project with Disney called The Lion King. We need somebody to sing Cub Simba's, be his singing voice. Do you want to do it? And Jason Weaver's mom saying, you should check this out. Them going to auditions, him killing it, him being the singing voice of Simba, which is astounding to this day. And then, because of all of that, he ends up getting his own record deal with Motown Records. And then he ends up putting out an album, and it's really great. You should go check it out. And then, because he was doing that, he ends up doing some guest starring roles on some shows. He ends up doing the show called Thea with Brandy. And then that helps him get Smart Guy. And because of all of those things, they make Marcus. And so this was tailor-made for him because it feels like it was just Jason Weaver. So Jason Weaver played Marcus Henderson, TJ's older brother, who obviously at first has an issue with the fact that his 10-year-old brother is in high school with him. But at the end of the day, he ends up coming to his defense and, you know, being there for TJ and really coming to some kind of bonding with his little brother. But what I love about him is that, so they took the fact that Jason Weaver is an incredible singer and they created this band. And so he's the lead singer of this band. TJ is the little like piano keyboard kid. You have Mo who does bass, and then you had somebody else who did guitar, but I can't remember because they had so many different people weaving in and out of the band, like it really wasn't consistent. But that's basically like the three of them. And so they end up doing some like talent show type things, and they end up doing some like battle of the band type things. But you go back and look up some of those performances, and they were so well done.
From the bottom of my heart, baby. All right, y'all, y'all. Can't you see it, baby? Love you always, baby. All right, always. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And that's what I mean. Jason Weaver really is a tremendously, or Jay Weave is a really tremendously good singer, and he just deserves all his flowers for his musical talent because he's so good at it. And we love Jason Weaver in this house, so yeah. But he does an incredible job as Marcus, and he really brings a lot of heart to the character as this, like I said, he's a ladies' man. He really loves girls. Obviously, he's a teenager, but he respects them. At the end of the day, he might say some things that are a little like, you know, the average, like, teenage, like, you know, one-liner type things, like the Fresh Prince kind of thing, but he has a lot of heart, and so he would never really hurt anybody, so he, like, really does care about the women that he goes out with at the end of the day. And, you know, his relationship with Mo is just, like, hilarious. Like I said, it's one of the best parts of the show. Like, I literally sometimes, like I said, will go back and watch Smart Guy episodes just because of Marcus and Mo, because they are just really hilarious. Like, okay, so there's this episode where TJ, and this is my favorite episode of the whole entire show. Like, I literally love to watch this episode over and over and over again because it is so funny. So, TJ is like, you know, TJ, he's the smart kid, you know, he dresses like, you know, the polo shirts and you know, jeans, and then, like, you know, his loafers or whatever, and he's just like this, I'm smart, you know, kind of kid, right? And so he goes to this arcade, right? And he meets this girl named Brandy, and she is played by Kyla Pratt. We love Kyla Pratt in this house as well. And so she's like this around the way type of girl. Like, she's just like, she wears like the baggy jeans and the really big jacket and the, you know, the hoodies and stuff like that, and just like the bandana and everything. And so she's out here just like living her best life. And so she's like, you know, this around the way girl. And so TJ's like into her. And so he brings her back to the house after they meet at the arcade to meet TJ's father. And basically they become friends and whatever, but Brandy, the character, she ends up telling TJ that he needs to change his look because he's gonna get clowned if he keeps trying to come around the arcade and hang out with her friends, right? And so he's like, I really like this girl, and I don't know how to dress like her, and she's really cool and hip, and I'm just like this nerd or whatever. And so Marcus and Mo are like, we got you, we'll help you, like, get your, you know, clothes together. And so there's this whole scene, this entire scene that is just so freaking funny.
Yeah. Yo, I want a whole lot of stuff to make me more hotter. Knowing the lingo, got my flow like water. Hanging with the bad boys. Game is tight, leaving competition mad boys. Jiggy style, aight? Yeah, Yeah, moving with the bad boys. Getting jiggy, Am I making all the right moves? Am I hanging with the right crews? Jiggy baby from my head to my shoes. So I gotta win and never lose. Yo, bet your life fun before the night's done. We gonna have fun like Jiggy style, making it known Big Willie style. Flossing everywhere, getting really wild. Try to keep me like a silly child. That was then, see me now. I got some new attitude, just like the new year. Pocket full of cheddar, smooth operator, and nobody does it better. I am well respected, well connected. Everyone I know stays Jiggy, just accept it.
So funny. They take him to this department store or whatever, and they're in the change room, and they just have all these like random outfits. And so they have this whole scene where like they're trying to, like, you know, get him to be like cool or whatever, ghetto fabulous or whatever. And so Marcus and Mo and TJ are in this department store, and there's like, you know, because, you know, it's like this like curtain, and then there's all this like walking room, right? And so Marcus and Mo are there trying to teach him like how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, like all these things. So they're just like walking down the little thing, like the little runway or whatever, and Mo is like walking, like, you know, the little pimp walk, and then he goes to the camera, and it's the most funny thing in the world. And then they're like dressing him in like these really baggy pants where, like, you know, people still do this, and I hate it, but you know, it is what it is. Like, they have the pants where it's like they're sagging to like the point of they're around his knees or whatever. And then they put this really big like medallion chain on him, and then they put this like beanie on him, right? And the minute they put the medallion chain on him, he like falls over because he can't, like, it's huge, right? And then Marcus and Mo literally look at the camera because, like, you know, and they're just like, and then they start dancing, and I'm just like, what? episode. So then TJ gets in trouble because obviously his father is like, take those clothes back, you look like a thug. And TJ's like, nah, this is the style, like, I'm trying to be cool, I'm trying to be hip, I'm trying to hang out with Brandy and her friends. And he's like, nah, you look like a thug, let's, like, not try to, you know, be that person. And TJ's like, you tripping, goodbye. And so then he gets grounded. So he goes up to his room, right, and he's all pissed off. And so he, like, because he's a smart genius that he is, he has this whole, like, system where it, like, has his voice where he's, like, in the bathtub, right? And so while he's gone, Marcus is supposed to be in there, like, playing this recording of him talking, right? And so, you know, TJ leaves, goes to the arcade, hilarious shenanigans, right? And so Marcus is left there to, like, play the recording or whatever. And originally they were supposed to have Mo, like, try to be TJ or whatever, but then Mo ends up in his bed, TJ's bed, and just falls asleep. Just, like, falls asleep for no reason. And then Marcus is over here trying to work the little remote, trying to, like, get TJ's voice to, like, play. And then the dad is asking all these questions, right? And at first it's working. And then he ends up asking him what kind of pizza he wants. And then he starts playing this recording to him. And he's like, and the dad's, like, listening to him. And he's like, TJ, you in the bathroom? Where's your brother? And then Marcus is like, I have nothing to do with this. And then TJ gets into, like, trouble because he ends up at the arcade, and he ends up, like, doing, like, he ends up, like, these other kids end up thinking that TJ's part of the Brandy's crew, and so then he gets in this fight, and it's hilarity ensues, but it's one of my favorite episodes of Smart Guy ever. Like, I can rewatch that episode right now, and it's still funny in 2022. I don't care what anybody else says. It's hilarious. So, yeah. Episodes like that, where it's just, like, non-stop comedy for, like, no reason, but it's a sitcom. What do we want? It's hilarious. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about Smart Guys. The comedic timing is really, really good, specifically with Marcus and Mo. Ugh. Chef's kiss, baby. Chef's kiss. So, anyways, yeah. So, yeah. Marcus is this lady killer. He loves girls. He's good at his band. He can sing really well. And yeah, he just has ambitions to be a musician, and he's really good with his little brother, even though his little brother can get on his nerves. That's basically the character. So then you have Mo, and like I said, every show has to have the not so smart character. And so they have Mo for that. And Mo is this sweet, lovable, like, teddy bear type of character where he's not that bright, clearly. But he's a really good friend to Marcus. He's basically a part of the Henderson family. He's over there all the time. Like, he never really actually goes home. Like, literally until season 3, we don't even get to see Mo's parents, which I will say something. Getting to meet Mo's parents in season 3 was actually a benefit to us, because there's a lot of shows out there where you never meet the, like, kooky character who's, like, not that smart, or, like, the kooky character who's, like, the best friend, or the kooky character who's, like, the next door neighbor. You never meet their parents. Like, they're always over at the house, but you never meet their parents. It's really weird. Anyways, so, yeah. We get to meet his parents in season 3, but, like, for the most part, we don't ever really see them. But it's like, Mo is always over at their house, always eating all their food, always, you know, just around all the time, like a 4th, 5th member of the family. And so it's like, it's really, really cute. And I really like the best friend dynamic that Marcus and Mo have. I also like that TJ and Mo get along in ways. There was this episode where Mo ends up spending the weekend or a week or something at the Henderson's house because his parents went on, like, their honeymoon or something. I don't know why they went on honeymoon that late, but who knows. And so he ends up staying at the Henderson's house, and he ends up, like, becoming really close with TJ, because TJ and Marcus are having issues, and then he, you know, is really close with Yvette, who's the older sister, and, you know, he just really likes this family and values this family a lot. And he's just a really fun character who's just, like, really cool. But in season 3, we end up learning that he was actually adopted. And so there's this whole episode of season 3 where we go on a search for Mo's parents. And I don't think we ever find his parents, but I think at the end we realize it doesn't matter because his parents were always there, like his adoptive parents were always there for him, so it doesn't matter who his real parents are, which I think is a great message to like all like adopted kids. So yeah, and then yeah, like I said, him and Yvette end up having this like, it's like a relationship but not really. Like there's this whole episode where Yvette and Mo end up having like this fake relationship, but Mo has always liked Yvette, like really liked her, like actually liked her, and so he ends up starting to really like her, and it's clear that Yvette sort of is starting to too. But then at the end, you know, Yvette finds, like, she basically starts liking this other guy, and they don't, the relationship doesn't like pan out, but they've always been there for each other, and I think that was really special. And I love that about the character, that he's just this really sweet guy who's just like not that smart. He's just like not that smart. But yeah, we love Mo, hilarious. Omar Gooding, who is the younger brother of Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah. He is the younger brother, and we love him. And he's been in things like Smart Guy, obviously. He's been in the BET cult classic, even though it's not a movie made by BET, you would think it was, the amount of times they showed it on their channel. Baby Boy, the Classic. And he was also in Hanging with Mr. Cooper when he was younger in the 90s. So yeah, we love Omar Gooding. He is hilarious. And I think he's actually supposed to be or filming a show, like a family sitcom kind of show, soon. So hopefully that comes out soon. And yeah, he's a really dope guy, and we love him, and he's hilarious. He's really hilarious. And then you have my girl Yvette, played by Essence Atkins. And we love Essence Atkins in this house. She was in Half and Half. She was in a lot of stuff. And we love her because Essence Atkins killed the role of Yvette. And you know what I love about Yvette is the fact that she had a complete 180 from season 1 to season 2. And I love that about her character. In the first beginning of the show, like even in the pilot, they had Yvette being this kind of floozy character who loves boys, who's into shopping, who's into the mall, who's into shoes, and just that's her character right there, right? And then in season 2, they had a real reworking of her character, and she becomes a lot more, still really hip, still really cool, but she becomes a feminist, womanist, however you want to say it. And she was really one of the first black feminists. Obviously, I know about history, and obviously I know about Angela Davis and a lot of other, you know, prominent people out there in the world who were womanists, feminists, however you want to say it. But as like an actual character on a sitcom, on a TV show, Yvette might be the first character I've ever seen that was a staunch, like, womanist, feminist, you know, character. And I love that about her. I think it was really important that there was a character out there like Yvette, who was black, who was a woman, who cared about women's issues. And I really value that. Because she really cared about the equality of women. Like, there was a whole episode where Yvette wins Mo in a basketball, because Mo is also on the basketball team, so is Marcus. And so Yvette, who used to be a cheerleader, so there's this whole thing where season 1 she's a cheerleader, and by season 2 she stops being a cheerleader. And you know, there's this whole thing about feminism and like cheerleading and like all of that. And so there's this episode where, you know, Yvette is like student council president. She's like all of these different, she's on the newspaper. She's like all this prestigious things. So she cares a lot about college. She's like really smart. She's just really great. And so, and she's on like women's sports teams and stuff like that. And so she ends up winning Mo in a charity auction for like the basketball team to like raise money or something. And so they're like together for a week. And so Yvette takes it upon herself to teach Mo a thing or two about feminism and about women and about women's rights. And it's the most hilarious thing in the world. Because, you know, Marcus and Mo, like I said, they do have hearts of gold. They wouldn't really hurt a woman anyways. But they do say some, like, you know, sexist things, like I said, like the Fresh Prince kind of vibe. Like, some sexist remarks are said. And, you know, they're like a typical guy. You know, they're a typical guy. And so, you know, they only look at women for their legs, hips, and thighs, and, you know, boobs, and whatever. And so Yvette's like, that's not gonna happen today. We're gonna educate you on the feminist movement, women, you know, you're gonna go to a women's protest, we're gonna fight for the women. And by the way, I didn't mention this before, but this whole entire show takes place in Washington, D.C., and that might also be why I was really drawn to this show, because I grew up in the DMV. Like, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, not D.C. Central, but like the DC area. So a lot of the times when they would talk about certain like landmarks and things like that, I knew what they were talking about. But yeah, so like Yvette's like, we're gonna go to a women's protest, and we're gonna like, you're gonna learn all about, you're gonna watch all these videos and read all these books about women and all these things. And it was really hilarious to me, because I was like, she really like, you know, whatever. But I really loved it. I did. I loved the fact that Yvette was like that. But at the end of the day, Yvette was still a teenage girl. And there was also this other episode where Yvette ends up liking this guy who's on the swim team. And Yvette likes him. Likes him. But it's mostly lust, because she's just in it for his body. You know what I mean. And so, because she's into him for his body, and not really his mind, because his mind's not there, kind of an airhead, she is called out because, you know, she's this feminist woman and she's only looking at this guy for his body. Something that she's against when it comes to women, but it's okay when she does it. And so there's this whole plot about that, but then she realizes, you know what, it's okay because he's not that smart. And it's okay that I like him because of that. I'm a teenager, it is what it is. And I like that duality. We're not perfect, and we can fight for women's rights all we want and be this, like, you know, caring about women's issues and caring about women being equal and all of these things, and still be human. And I like that about that character, and I really like that arc. So I was like, that's good, I like that. It's really balanced. And yeah, you know, there's this you know, Yvette being the older sister, it felt like in a lot of ways she took on the motherly role of the show, because you know, I didn't say this originally, but they don't have a mom. So the mom ends up dying sometime before the show airs. We don't really actually find out that much why or how, but she dies at the beginning. And you know, that's the 90s for you. No one can ever really have a mom in the 90s. I don't know what it is, but like, characters on TV like never had a mom. Like, I don't understand why, but they like barely ever had a mom, so whatever. But yeah, they didn't really have a mom. And because Yvette was the oldest, she ended up taking around a lot of the mother figure role in the show, and so she would really like chaperone around like Marcus and TJ specifically, and more so TJ around school, because, you know, he needed her. And it really felt like she was being a mom like a lot of the show, and that might be why she feels so staunch about the way that women are portrayed, because she felt that kind of like motherly role around TJ and Marcus, and having to like shuffle them around, take them to places, because she was like one of the other people who had a license. She was able to take people around and take them to this and that and do this and this and this, you know? And I feel like the dad, as great as he is, he's amazing, I love him, also kind of relied on Yvette a lot more than I think was necessary, but also I think that she also wanted to be that kind of person because she's responsible and cares about the family. So I think that was cool. And one of my favorite Yvette episodes is probably the one where they talk about discrimination in the workplace. So basically, Yvette, if you've seen the Dr. Raven episode about discrimination in the workplace, it's basically that episode, only without the psychic hijinks. So basically, Yvette's working at this department store with her friend, and her friend is white, and they're both hired, but the manager of the store ends up making Yvette follow around the black customers and making the her white friend follow around the black customers, right? Yvette takes all this like film footage of the best friend and her having to follow around the black customers, right? And she shows it to the manager. The manager's just like, well, I've been in this business for, whatever amount of time. And basically, in my estimation, these are the type of people who will steal and who will do all these crimes and whatever. And Yvette's like, that's discrimination. Why are you? And she's like, well, I've been in this business for whatever, and that's just how it is. And basically, Yvette gets fired. And so she tells her dad. Her dad's like, I will go up there, I will fight her. And Yvette's like, no, it's okay, like, I'll figure it out. And so she basically ends up getting the district manager to come in. I think it's the district manager, probably. It always is. And she gets the district manager, who is black, by the way, to come in, and which it always is, right? And they come in and they basically follow. They're like basically acting like, a normal customer, and then he ends up being followed by the manager. And so he's like, why are you following me? And she's like, oh, just wanting to see if you need anything or whatever. And then he's like, well, why aren't you following the other person over there who was white? And she's like, oh, well, thought you just needed something. And he's like, no, but you know what? I am and then he brings out his badge and is like, come with me, Miss Hendra. Her name was Miss Hendra. And he's like, come with me. And basically she ends up getting fired. And so that episode was really great. I really appreciated that episode. And that's what I mean by Smart Guy taking on these really big issues in like these bite-sized ways. And it's really special. And they did a really good job on the episode. And yeah, that was really cool. So I really like Yvette as a character. I relate to her a lot because I also find myself to be a womanist in that way, but in a more black and indigenous type of view of it than, the normal white feminist. And I really liked seeing a black woman, girl, teenager being a woman, womanist, feminist, however you want to say it. And that was just really beautiful and cute and amazing to me. Okay, so now let's talk about the dad. Floaty. If you know, you know. But let's talk about him. So his name, we love him. He's a great actor. His name is John Marshall Jones. And he is an incredible actor. He is obviously the dad and Smart Guy, Floyd Henderson. He was also in another show that I'm sure if you are of a certain age, you probably remember the show. If you're not of a certain age, you might not. It's okay. The only reason I know about this show is because I did a lot of babysitting in my teenage years and my early 20s of my niece and nephew. And so I had to watch a lot of shows that they watched. So that's the only reason I know about this show. But it's a show called Super Ninjas. And he was like I don't know how to describe him. Like the boss dude of like the Super Ninjas. I don't really know how to explain it. Anyway, and you know what else is cute? That there was the Black Lady sketch show on HBO Max. They did an episode where they had Taj and John do a little like chess or checkers game against each other. It was like this little sketch and it was really cute, and they reunited those two, and I think that's great and I love it. But let's talk about Floyd Henderson. So John did a great job of playing Floyd Henderson, and Floyd Henderson is this really reliable father. Like I said, the mom is dead, and so he basically is the sole provider of this family, and so he ends up taking care of his 3 kids on his own while dealing with being a rooferman contractor and also being a single father who is dating, who is trying to support his kids' dreams, who is trying to deal with a child prodigy at 10 years old going to high school. And that is a lot. Okay? We don't give enough props to Floyd, but he is an incredible father for just the amount of things he had to deal with. not having a wife, being a successful businessman, and having a 10-year-old who's going to high school while dealing with 2 teenage kids. Like, that is incredible, okay? That is incredible. So, yeah, shout out to Floyd. But he disciplines his kids enough that they need it, but not to the point where it's overbearing, right? Because there was this episode, it's like season 3, I think, and it's an episode where Marcus is getting terrible grades, like the worst grades, right? And so Marcus is getting these terrible grades, and he's getting in trouble for them, and, you know, Floyd has just had it. He's like, I'm tired of this lackluster thing where you don't want to care about school, you don't care about your future. And Marcus is like, I do care about my future. I just don't care about it in the way you want me to. I care about it because I care about my music, I care about this band, and I care about making it big. I'm not interested in school, and that's just it. What it is, what it is. And Floyd's like, that's not good enough because you always gonna need a plan B. So you're gonna need to care about school because, and then Marcus is like, well, you didn't go to college, so I don't know why it matters. And he's like, because I was a father at that time, having your sister and having you. I didn't have time to go to college, and then I started my own business, and your mom died. So it's not like I had a lot of, you know, opportunity to do that, and I want better for my kids, and so you're gonna get it together or else. And so then he basically makes him become a contractor, or not a contractor. He makes him become he ends up working on the roofs with the rest of the crew, and so the rest of his workers. And so he basically does that for a week. And it basically is like scares him back into the real world of like, I need to focus on school and do all these things. I mean, it only works for like an episode, but still. It was the part where Floyd actually cared about the education of his kids and actually cared about him actually succeeding. You know what I mean? Because Floyd had to watch Marcus basically try to copy off his little brother, use his little brother to do all the homework, do all of the things. And especially during this episode where, what are they called? Like logs, not logs. You know what I'm talking about. The stuff they put on roofs. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart right now. The wood that they put on roofs, right? And so they go to get the stuff they're putting on the roof. And basically, through that, they have to take it. So Marcus, Mo, and TJ have to take it out of the truck. And so they're bringing all the stuff out of the truck. And they're basically doing the hand it to each other type of thing. And so one of them, Marcus had one, Mo had one, and TJ was in the middle. And they basically end up slamming his head. And TJ ends up getting into a, he can't remember who he is type of situation. Amnesia type of situation. And so during that week, Marcus, Mo, and TJ have a project they have to do for the history class. And Marcus was counting, of course, on TJ to do the whole entire thing on his own. And then just give Marcus and Mo an A. And they do that often with TJ. And so with TJ not having his brain, he ends up being the normal kid that he always is, right? And so because of that, Marcus has to work harder on the project to get, you know, the grade that he wanted, and he actually ends up studying for once, and he takes care of TJ while he's there, and TJ ends up having a really great time with his brother because his brother finally doesn't feel like the underachiever. He feels like he actually can be the older brother that he always wanted to be, because I know that's hard on Marcus, being the older brother who isn't as smart as his younger brother, and having his younger brother always one up him. It's really hard. So it makes it hard when it comes to him and his dad's relationship, like Marcus and his dad's relationship, because his dad wonders why Marcus can't do the same thing that TJ's doing and be this overachiever, when in the reality, TJ has this really big brain and just knows too much, and Marcus just isn't at that level in his life, and it's not fair to compare them. But, you know, Floyd does that to a degree, and, you know, it's inevitable because there's episodes where Floyd basically says, he's like, it's hard for me. You know what I mean? TJ is a 10-year-old kid. He's a 10-year-old child prodigy. And I am just one person. And I am just trying to get by. I have this business. I have my other kids. And I'm just trying to get by. And, you know, there are times where I can't help TJ with his homework. I can't be there when TJ needs me to, you know, do these things with him. And I feel like I am losing him at times. And, like, there was even this episode where TJ has this, like, I guess he's a substitute teacher of his science class. And so basically he is the substitute and he comes over for dinner. And TJ's all enamored with him because he's, like, really smart. And he, like, really is, like, into, like, you know, science and, like, astronomy and, like, all that type of stuff and, like, stars. And so he ends up telling him about this school that is, like, far away, not far away, but like an hour away. I think it's in Virginia or somewhere. And it's like this academy or something where, like, smart kids go to. And it would mean TJ having to leave home. And TJ's, like, nervous about it, but he also is excited about it. And he, like, takes really well to this teacher. And that makes Floyd, like, feel really, really bad because he's like, I can't provide any of these things for you. I'm barely getting by with this business. And I also am not on this level of smarts. And I can never compare to these smart people. And TJ has to remind him, like, you're my dad. And I love you. And I will always love you. And, you know, just because I'm really smart, I still need you for things. I'm still 10 years old. And I think that was the dynamic that was really sweet about Floyd and TJ's relationship because, like, I'm still 10. I may know all these things about other things and, like, be really smart when it comes to, like, you know, actual, like, books and, like, science and, like, math and whatever. But I'm still 10 years old. I'm going to make mistakes and I'm not going to know everything because there's still a lot of growing up that I have to do. And I think that, you know, that's really special. Even during an episode like when TJ tries to help his dad because his dad's roofing business isn't doing that well. And so he tries to get him a commercial on the air on his local, like, station. And he ends up, you know, doing all this comedic stuff to get the commercial on TV. But they end up getting the commercial on TV. But only because they ended up putting the commercial on, but it ended up playing during the Super Bowl because it wasn't really supposed to be on. They went to the commercial people, they played it during a trashy time in the middle of the night, and then, you know, they get mad. And so TJ's like, I'm gonna fix this. And so then he ends up going up to the station and putting the tape on to play, but he ended up making it play during the Super Bowl on accident, and everybody in the world is seeing it. And then TJ gets in trouble because he's trying to help his dad. Or the episode where TJ ends up finding out that his dad is having, like, money trouble, and so, you know, he can't provide, like, this jacket that Marcus wanted, and, like, Yvette wanted this other thing, you know, whatever, and so, like, he can't really provide these things for him. And so TJ finds this, like, academic bowl for, like, kids or whatever, and he knows it's, like, a really big grand prize, and so he, like, studies himself like crazy, and he ends up doing the show, but he ends up realizing, you know, like, I can't fix this for my dad because I'm a 10-year-old kid. And his father has to explain to him, like, I get that you're extremely smart, and that's really great, but you're still 10 years old, and I'm still your parent, and I still have to parent you, and I still have to be there for you in, like, the finance way, and, like, all these different ways. And so it's really, really special, their relationship together. And like I said, he has a great relationship with Yvette too. At times, you know, he does see her more as an adult than anything else, and I think that the reason that ends up happening is because Yvette and Floyd, the actors, they're actually closer to age than she is to Marcus, Mo, and it's really interesting. But anyways, yeah, so they have a really interesting dynamic too, and it, you know, over time he starts to, like, more so understand Yvette and, you know, not treat her so much like an adult. Like, he treats her like an adult, but not in the adult way that she wants. Like, he treats her as an adult, like, you know, help me with your brothers type of way, less than a, I'm trying to be the supportive father who wants to treat you like an adult in the way that I see you. You're still a child in my eyes, but you're an adult enough to help me with your brothers. You know what I mean? And that's interesting. An interesting dynamic between them. And also just, like, you know, how he handles her with boys. And, you know, he's like any loving parent, father, you know, overprotective of his daughter when it comes to boys, and it's really cute. So yeah, we really love Floyd because he's an A1 dad. He's like one of the best dads of the 90s sitcoms. Like, I love him. Like, we don't talk about him enough, and I really do in my heart think that he deserves more praise because he was an incredible father to those kids. All of those odds stacked up against him, incredible guy. So yeah, we've talked about all of the like main characters of the show, so let's talk about some of the guest stars who were on the show. So I've talked about this probably before, I don't know, but we've had Wesley Jonathan on the show. We love him. He played Yvette's boyfriend at one point. We had the biggest guest stars to come on the show, and shout out to shows like Smart Guy and The Famous Jet Jackson, who both had Destiny's Child on the show before they got big. Well, the Famous Jet Jackson had them on a little bit later after, LaToya and LaTavia left, but, it is what it is. But they both had them on during a time where they weren't, like, huge. So that's dope. Like, they weren't, like, global huge. They were just, like, huge in the Black community. So that was great. But, yeah, the Destiny's Child episode is probably the best episode of the show. Like, honestly, if you're really, like, trying to watch the show, watch the Destiny's Child episode because it's really great. It gives you a really good glimpse into, like, early Destiny's Child. Like, before they were, like, huge. Like, first album, Destiny's Child. Like, when they were, like, still, And, they have the Destiny's Child come, and then they have TJ be the little kid in the music video, and just a little tap routine, which is so cute. And like they end up coming to the dance with TJ, Marcus, and Mo, and that's really cute. And it's just like a whole thing, and you have Marcus and Beyonce's relationship in the show, and that was cute too. And basically that episode is about how TJ wants to be, because they like asked him to go on tour with them after the music video, right? And so TJ wants to go, his dad does not want him to go, and it takes until because TJ gets pissed at him, and he's like, I really want to go. And, like, Floyd's like, no, you're 10 years old. Like, I've seen the business and what it does to people, and especially kids, and I'm not going to let you be in that type of environment. And so he's mad at him, obviously. But then after a while, he starts to calm down, and he overhears Beyonce talking about her situation on the road and what that actually is like. And after that, he's like, nah, I'm good. I can stay home. I'm good. Like, but it is a really good episode. It's really iconic. The music is great. It has the No remix. And it's really great. And I still watch that little part where they make the music video. And TJ's and they're tap dancing away. Like, it is so cute. Speaking of tap dancing, you also have Dule Hill. Dule! My guy. And he is TJ's little tap teacher. Okay, so this is an episode where TJ wants to be a tap dancer. And he realizes that it's a lot of work. Then he tries to quit, but then he ends up, going back to it. And Dule Hill does an incredible job. And as we know, Dule Hill in real life can tap dance. And Taj at the time could also tap dance because he's a man of many talents. And so Taj, he used to tap dance, but I don't think he does it as much anymore, because I think I've heard in an interview recently that he's like doesn't really remember how that well, so that's okay. But he was really cute at the time.
Something like that.
Okay, TJ, we can go now. Go where?
And yeah, like I said, and we're gonna start getting a little bit dark, so if you don't want to hear me talk about child predators and molestation and the media's portrayal of it, you may want to skip this part, but yeah, we're gonna talk about it in 1, 2, 3. So obviously I said there was an episode about how TJ, he is a genius, right? And this is where TJ's genius comes into play even more. So TJ is a 10-year-old child prodigy. And even though he's the smartest kid on the planet, probably, he is also 10 years old. 11 probably in this episode. Probably 11. But he's like 11 years old and he's still a kid. So him and his friend, who by the way we never ever see again. Like, she's in this one episode and then we never see her ever again. Like, ever again. But anyways, so TJ and his friend, they're into video games. Who isn't? Or computer games, whatever. CD-ROM games, I guess. And who isn't at that time, you know what I mean? Everybody's into video games. And so this is around the time when the internet becomes more available to more households in the United States. Prior to that, the internet was more so a luxury when it came to, and computers in general were more so of a luxury for a lot of people. And so it wasn't until like the late 90s that the internet started to, and computers in general, started to become more mainstream in a lot of households. And, you know, obviously it was the dial-up era. Trash. But anyways, and so TJ and his friend, they really want to get this video game. And Floyd is not going to buy it because it's way too expensive. And so the best friend ends up telling TJ about this chat room for kids. And basically she says that she has been talking to this kid who is in the chat room and says they have these video games, and that if they go meet this kid, then they can get the video games for a cheaper price. And so TJ's like, okay, that's dope. Let's go do it. They go to this restaurant. Mind you, now this is the 90s, and I have to remember this. When we were kids in the 90s, it was a lot more free, right? Kids could go around and do whatever they wanted, however they wanted, really freely. It wasn't really so much restrictions on kids. Like, it isn't like weird when a kid just like walks, like, and I'm talking about a kid, like 11, 12, 13, like 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, like just going down the block, going to hang out, like doing whatever, like being able to like freely roam around without like adult supervision, right? And so TJ ends up, and his friend end up going to this like fast food place, probably Dog Burger. That was a big place for them during that time. But they end up going to this place, and they meet this not kid, and it ends up being this white dude, and he's like, they're like, I thought it was gonna be a kid, and this guy's like, well, I just like kids stuff, and I really like kids, so that's why I was in there, and I just like video games. And this is not sketchy at all, says every viewer who's watched this episode. This is not a red flag. But again, TJ's 11. He might be a super genius. He's 11. So, they end up buying the games from him, and he tells them that he has these other games at his house, and that if they want to come over and check them out, that they can, and basically that, you know, don't tell your parents. And so TJ obviously tells his parents. He tells his dad, but he doesn't tell him where, and then he tries to blame the fact that he has the video games on his friend and whatever, because he wasn't supposed to get them. And so they end up going to this guy's house. Because somehow nobody in this family ended up wondering, now where is TJ? No one. Not one time. And I'm like, Okay? Like, in this episode, and you know what? This episode is really heavy. Like, it's extremely heavy. And so I get why this B plot was there, but it made it feel like really like weird and out of place. But basically it's like Marcus and Mo have this car. They don't really know how to fix it up. So they ask Yvette to help them and that they would split the car 3 ways or whatever. Wacky hijinks ensuing. Anyways, so TJ and his friend end up going to this guy's house and they end up going to his basement. And so they see all these cool video games. And so they end up seeing this like cool like virtual reality game, which by the way was not virtual reality, it was more so just green screen. It was green screen, but whatever. It's 1998 or whatever. We have to give them a pass. So anyways, they're at this guy's basement and he starts like, at first he's like, you know, cool, like video games, whatever. But then he starts acting weird. And so he shows them this book and he basically says, you know, I have this game, it's kind of in beta, and it's basically this virtual reality game where you can be in the game, and you can go surfing, right? So TJ's like, okay, weirdo, but continue. And so then, he's like, and you know, you look really cool, but I realized something. You don't have bathing suits. And they're like, yeah. He's like, it would be more authentic if you were in a bathing suit. Or, you know, something else. And they're like, okay. And so then he's like, look at this book I have. And he shows this book. And at first she was like, you know, this is a beta. You're the only people who've ever seen it. And so he ends up showing this book to the kids. And he's like, look, little Mary Sue, I don't know her name. Little Mary Sue was super nervous at first to, you know, take her clothes off to be able to play this game, but after a while she got used to it. And TJ's like, first of all, you said that we were the only ones to see this game. Oh well, you know. And then TJ's like, oh, I know where this is going. I know where this is headed. I am leaving and I'm taking my friend. And you know what? Shout out to the friend. You know, friend, you were kind of dumb. Because if TJ hadn't been the smart kid, the smart guy that he is, you would have been there and you would have gotten molested. And that is really sad because you were about to. Because you were not that smart. Because you were like, yeah, fun times. And didn't even see what was in front of you. You didn't even see what was right in front of you. You were so lucky to have a friend like TJ. Anyways, so TJ ends up leaving, bringing his friend with him and dipping, right? And the guy's like, don't tell your parents. TJ's like, you think? So he goes home, and at first he's like really nervous, and he like doesn't want to talk to anybody. So then Floyd goes up to his room and like asks TJ how he is. And then TJ's just like, I'm not good. And you know, Dad, I'm sorry. But, you know, at first it was just video games. And, you know, I thought that this person was going to be a kid. And so we got these video games from this guy. But then we ended up we got these video games from this guy. And we met him in real life. And he seemed cool. So then we were like, okay, we can get some more video games. But then we ended up going to his, you know, basement. And he had this game. And it kind of trails off because we, like, already saw this happen. And so, Floyd ends up calling the cops and he gets arrested, and apparently he had already done this. Like he was like a runaway or on bail or something for doing this already. Yeah. TJ is very shaken up by it and he's like, I don't want to have my computer anymore. You can throw it away. The internet sucks. I'm so scared. And Floyd has to tell him like, remember, there are some really great things about having computers. And there's a lot of information you can learn on your computer, and there's a lot of like great things you can do with your computer. So don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. And it kind of ends like that. And there's no like PSA type thing at the end. It just kind of ends like that. And then they have, you know, some more wacky hijinks happening with Marcus and Mo and Yvette and stuff like that. But I really want to say kudos to Smart Guy. Kudos to Smart Guy. Because the last time I really saw an episode of a TV show about this type of thing was, and it had nothing to do with computers, it was real life, but it was basically about stranger danger. And it wasn't since the bicycle thief episode in Different Strokes and the episode about hitchhiking that I've seen this type of care done to us, to a situation like this. You know what I mean? And it's really, really well done. And shout out to Taj Mori for that episode. Shout out to, you know, everybody on set that day. Like, this probably was really heavy for them. And I'm really glad they tackled it, because it was an important episode that I think a lot of kids needed to watch, because it was the turn of the century. It was around the late 90s, early 2000s. And shout, you know, Disney Channel. So when Smart Guy first came, and we'll talk about this in a second, but when Smart Guy first came on to Disney Channel, it was this fun, you know, cute show. And at first, Disney Channel was trying to ban the episode about this. You know, they were trying to ban this episode. And so they wouldn't show it on the channel, because they thought, you know, there are too little of kids who are on there that don't need to be triggered by this. And then eventually they came to their senses and showed it on the channel. Now, the first time I ever watched this episode, I was about 10 probably. I was being homeschooled. I was in 4th grade. I was being homeschooled that year. And I remember I watched this episode because it's like the first or second year that they had been showing Smart Guy on Disney Channel. So this is the first time I've ever seen this show. And so this was around the time they started to actually want to show this episode on the air. And I remember I watched this episode for the first time, and I was so scared. I was so freaked out. I was like, oh my God, the computers are evil. And what? And it was just really triggering to me. And for a while, I didn't even like to watch that episode. I've since watched it as an adult, and it isn't as bad as I used to think it was, or scary as I used to think it was, but I was only like 10, so it was scary. But now watching it, I'm like, yeah. But I also see what they were doing with it, and I actually really love it because it was so well done. So well done. Shout out to Smart Guy for this episode. It was so good. But anyways, yeah, they really killed that episode. And you know, they're supposed to be doing teen drinking, but it's kid drinking at this point. They also did an episode about that. That's like actually the last episode of the show, where they have TJ go back to. He goes to a party that's basically of his age group, and he doesn't really fit in with anybody at the party. And so he ends up seeing these guys that he might have been friends with back when he was in 4th grade. And they basically have alcohol for some reason, because why 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds have alcohol, we will not know. But anyways, they end up having alcohol, and TJ gets drunk, and then he ends up making a fool of himself. This is also one of the episodes that Naya Rivera was in. R.I.P. Naya Rivera, we love you. She was actually in a couple of episodes. She was in this episode, and she was also in an episode season 1 where TJ has to get a date to this high school dance. And so Floyd, Yvette, and Marcus all try to get him dates. And so he ends up going to the dance with like 3 girls. It's really cute, really funny, hilarious. But yeah, during the drinking episode, so then he gets drunk and he comes home and he's like a wreck. And his dad doesn't want to believe that he's been drinking. But Yvette's like, look, it's a possibility, okay? It just is what it is. And so when the friends that he saw at the party come over to his house, they try to get him to drink again. Only this time, Floyd catches them. Now, at this point, TJ's like, I'm not trying to drink, okay? I'm over this stuff. We're too young. Like, chill out. And so TJ ends up getting in trouble. He ends up getting reprimanded for the time he actually did drink. And then there's this like talk about drinking and stuff like that, and trust and like all this stuff. And so that was a really great episode as well. You know, they dealt with that really well. And, you know, like I said, the workplace discrimination episode. There's an episode about, you know, Yvette wanted to get bigger boobs because of her, like, low self-esteem. Well, not low self-esteem. Yvette doesn't have that. But, like, just her, like, wanting to progress in her career, I guess. Or, like, you know, her wanting to be, like, an actress. And so her wanting to, like, progress in her acting. And so her thinking that if she got big boobs, she would get more roles. And, like, body image type of thing. And, like, yeah, Smart Guy really dealt with like those type of topics really, really well. Like, really well. And I value that. So, yeah. So, let's talk about why Smart Guy ended. So, Smart Guy, like I said, lasted from 1997 to 1999. And it's one of the last shows to actually run on the WB from 1997 to 1999, because around like 2000, 2001, 2002 is when the WB would then become the CW, which is the WB and UPN smushed together. And so by then the WB had become a more white leaning channel, and a lot of the black sitcoms would get canceled on the channel. And so thankfully Smart Guy got canceled before that. But the reason Smart Guy got canceled, for a long time I didn't even know. I was like, I don't understand why this show got canceled. It had legs. Like by season 3, the show had really, really like come into its own. And I think that Smart Guy could have at least ran like one more season. Because at the end of season 3, Yvette ends up graduating high school. And TJ, Marcus, and Mo end up going into senior year. And so they could have dealt with TJ, Marcus, and Mo's senior year of high school. And we could have had at least one season of like Yvette in college, right? It would have been cute. It would have been cute. But no, they ended up canceling the show. And again, for a long time, I didn't know why. But I've also seen, within the last couple of years, I've seen interviews with Omar Gooding and Jason Weaver as well, talking about the ending of Smart Guy and why it ended. And they kind of clued us into basically Taj got really big. And obviously, because his sisters were huge, he was already big, so he's going to get bigger. And so I guess being the little kid that he was, he kind of had like a bigger head at the time. He wanted more money. He wanted more, basically money. And I guess they were not ready to give him the money he wanted. And so he just basically stopped coming to set for like some episodes. And they were like, okay, well, I guess this is the end because we're not going to pay you more. So this is the end. And it kind of got, crazy in that aspect. And it got canceled. Which I don't think was right. But, I mean, I get it. But come on. You kind of ruined it for a lot of people. They were going strong. And they could have had great careers. But I will say that if the show had continued, we wouldn't have had half and half the way we have it. Jason Weaver would not have been in Drumline. And, yeah. So, for that, there are certain things I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm kind of glad. But at in other ways, it's like, I don't know. But, good news is that sometime in the near distant future, we're gonna get a Smart Guy reboot. Smart Guy reboot. Yes. Sometime in the near distant future, we are gonna get a Smart Guy reboot. And I can tell you this because, again, I'm in love with Taj Mori. I have been since I was 10. So, because of that, I follow him, doing everything. And because of that, I have watched some of the interviews that he's been doing recently, in the last couple of years, during like quarantine and stuff. And I watched him do an interview that had to do with Smart Guy. And he basically said, and he's been saying this as early as like 2018. I've been watching him say this, that he is trying to make a Smart Guy reboot happen. And you know what's great about it? There's a script out there. There's a wanting to network. And I think he's still trying to put the pieces together. But I think there's potential. And I'm excited about it. I'm extremely excited about it. Okay? Extremely excited about it. So. Hopefully this happens because I love this show. I am obsessed with Smart Guy. I told you this already at the beginning. But I am obsessed. Like, I am obsessed. And since it came on to Disney Plus, even before then, okay? Back when I had to bootleg this stuff, back when I used to watch episodes on YouTube and the bootleg sites and BET and whatever, I've been obsessed with this show, you know? Like I said, Smart Guy originally aired on the WB, and then once the show was canceled, it ended up getting syndication rights in Disney Channel, and the Disney Channel ended up showing it.
What are you guys doing?
Meet the guys. What are you talking about?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Marcus, a clever kid. Do any other guys know this?
Okay, now that's a red flag.
Mo, a sharp dude.
Makes sense to me.
And TJ, stupid kid. Well, just plain smart guy.
Party doesn't start till I walk through the door.
Smart guy.
It's a beautiful thing.
Part of Zoo Weekends at 3 p.m. 2 Central and 5 p.m. 4 Central.
That is
And then they made this whole thing with the Maury's where they ended up on the channel like heavy, and then Taj would end up in some Disney Channel movies like Hound did in The Poof Point, and we love it for him, and he was a part of the original Circle of Stars. Love to see it. We love him. And so, and he was obviously Wade in Kim Possible, and he played with his sisters in 17 again. So he was killing it. And so that's kind of how I got introduced into Smart Guy, and I've been obsessed with the show ever since. So yeah, and I've been obsessed with Taj ever since. So yeah, I love him. Anyways, so yeah, so that's Smart Guy in a nutshell. After Smart Guy, Taj would go on to do, obviously, like I said, some DComs and other things for Disney Channel, and then he would take some time off, then he would come back, then he would do some guest stars, then he would do some like smaller roles in movies. Then in the 2010s, he would end up being in the Freeform, ABC Family, whatever, sitcom Baby Daddy. We loved him in that. Tucker Dobbs, loved him in that. And then he would do music. Taj is such a good singer, okay? I was talking about Jason Weaver before, right? And we love Jason Weaver, okay? Again, we part of Jason Weaver Hive. We love Jason Weaver in this house. But Taj can also sing. And you want to know something? That Maury family has singing chops. Okay, Tia and Tamara and Taj, if y'all don't put out an album in 2020, whatever, I need it in my life. I'm waiting since the 90s for y'all to put out an album. Come on now. Now, obviously, Taj, even their brother, Tavier, he has music out. Like, they can all sing. It's so great. But anyways, Taj, during the time that Baby Daddy was out, had some music out, and it's really great. We love it. And he could just really sing. And I remember back in the early mid 2010 when I was on YouTube and I was on there and I was looking up like Taj singing or whatever, and I used to watch him do covers of Michael Jackson songs, and he killed it. Look up Taj singing Dirty Diana by Michael Jackson.
You'll never make me stay, so take your weight off of me. I know your every move, so won't you just let me be? I've been here times before, but I was too blind to see that you seduce every man. This time you won't seduce me. She's saying that's okay. Hey baby, do what you want. I am the thing that you need. I have the stuff that you want. She looked me deep in the eyes. She touching me so to start. She said there's no turning back. She trapped me in her heart. Dirty Diana, no. Dirty Diana, no. Dirty Diana, Dirty Diana, let me be.
Dirty Diana is already one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs of all time. But Taj kills that cover. He also does a Human Nature cover.
If they say why, Tell him that it's human nature. Why does he do me that way? If they say why? Tell him that it's human nature. Why does he do me that way?
Kills it. He is such a good singer, and so is his sisters. And if they did a joint project, I would even be more happy. Like, give us a joint Christmas album. I don't even care. Just give me something, because I need it in my life, okay? Alright. Anyways, and after that, he did some other various projects, and in 2022, he did some other really great. So, last year he put out a movie, and then this year he put out a movie with Kevin Hart called Me Time, and then I think it's gonna be coming out in 2023. It's called The Muppets Mayhem, and he's gonna be a part of the Muppet Show, and I'm so happy for him. Like, I'm so happy for him. It's him and Lily Singh. You know her from YouTube, you know, whatever. And they're gonna be in that together, and I'm so excited to watch it. Two of my favorite things coming together. I love the Muppets, and I love Taj. So I'm happy. I'm really happy, and I'm just excited for him. And then you have Jason Weaver. Jason Weaver, he has been, obviously after Smart Guy, he did Drumline. And again, I already did a Forever Flowers on him, so you guys can watch that and find out more about his career. But basically, he did movies like Drumline. He did ATL. He sung the hook on the Chingy song. And just so many other things. So many other things, right? And in 2022, and you know, during the quarantine, he's been having a lot of a good renaissance. We love that for him. He's been in shows like The Chi. We love it. So happy for his renaissance. So happy he's doing okay. And we love him. We love Jason Weaver. He's an icon. He is so great. And then you have Omar Gooding, who, like I said, he was in Baby Boy. Obviously, a classic. For those who have watched it, I have never watched it, and I may never watch it, but that's okay. It's a blessing to some. Anyways, and he was also in various other projects, and he's doing really well. I watch him on Instagram. He has music out. He has a daughter. He's a really great dad. We love him. He's great. We love him a lot. We really do. He's great human. And, yeah. I don't really know what everybody else is doing at this point, but yeah, they're all thriving and striving and doing great in their life. There's actually an episode of Tia Mori's Quick Fix, which is Tia's like little YouTube show, and so she ended up having Essence Atkins on the show in an episode recently, and so they got to like reunite, and that was really special and sweet and cute. And yeah, she's doing really well. John is doing really well. Like I said, he just did that Black Lady sketch show with Taj, and that was really special, and everybody's doing really great. And so it's ripe time for them to do a reboot, specifically because, or sequel or whatever, specifically because they never got to have an ending to the show, but also because I just want it. I want it so much. And so I really hope that within the show that Taj is pitching to these networks and stuff, that he has all the cast come back, because if not, I'm gonna be really sad. But like, I really want it to be like that wacky family thing like it was in the 90s, because that was really funny and great and hilarious, and it really brought my heart a lot of joy. So yeah, I could talk about Smart Guy for the rest of my life, but I won't, because I could just go on and on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. So I really do hope you enjoyed this episode of the Black Sitcom Mukbang featuring Smart Guy, and I hope to do more of these episodes in the near distant future and do them. I'm still on my journey of watching some of the Black sitcoms that I didn't watch as a kid, so I'm still watching Family Matters, or trying to finish Family Matters. I did watch it as a kid, but I didn't really watch it, so I need to rewatch it. So I'm still at like, I don't know, season 6 or 7, but it's kind of hard for me to like watch those last few seasons because they're so freaking long. But I'm getting there. I still have to finish watching Hang Up Mr. Cooper, which is boring, but I'm trying. I still need to watch the Wayans Brothers, the Jamie Foxx show, the Steve Harvey show. I still need to watch. I need to watch Thea, even though it's one season. I'm still gonna watch it, just because I've watched South Central, but I could rewatch it. I still need to watch. There's a lot of black sitcoms I need to go back and watch, but the next episode that you'll probably see of this series will probably either be The Fresh Prince, Girlfriends, or One-on-One. And then we'll go from there. So, yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this chaotic, great episode of the Black Sitcom Mukbang. And I hope you find your way on Disney Plus and go watch Smart Guy. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Smart Guy. Or Every Day's Another Lesson. My hands in the world. I don't think it's my destination. It's not the end of the world. A to Z. Another lesson. I could be anything you want to be. Smart Guy. Yeah. Go watch Smart Guy on Disney Plus and enjoy yourself because you're gonna love it. And if you've already seen it, go watch it again because it's still hilarious in 2022. And yeah, see y'all around town. Peace and blessings. Bye.
Intelligence of a grown man trapped inside of a young brain. Kinda on the short side, but stands tall when you throw the ball. That's why I'm hanging with the smart guy, aka Mr. Know-It-All.